All right. So with this step here, we're at the closing. So typically between the closing and the previous steps of making sure all the contingencies are taken care of, there may be a little bit of negotiating, make sure all the documents are in, make sure the documents are being sent to the correct people. Your lender is sending it off to their investors. They're doing all the necessary things that they need to do on their end to make sure that this happens for you. But basically, what happens is when you're at the title company for the closing, or in some people's cases, you may be at the attorney's office. During this process, and I tell everyone, it may feel like you're signing your life away. And it does, because you're going to be signing a lot of documents and you're going to have questions, which is perfectly fine. That's why you want to work with someone that's a professional in the title world so that they can explain those documents to you so that you can understand what you're signing, and also make sure that everything is still the same that you originally started with. You know, the type of loan, the payment, and have an understanding. You should have a clear understanding of what those uh, documents are beforehand, and understand what type of loan you're getting into before you actually get to the closing table. With the new rules with TRID, there's a closing disclosure that needs to be provided 3 days prior to the closing. So it provides that information of what the loan amount is, what you're paying. It gives you a completely better idea of what's going on. There's been cases where people have been get to the closing table and they were expecting to pay one thing as a monthly payment, and then it changed where it's been increased. So that's why TRID has come along and provided some new guidelines that need to be followed. It's a number of guidelines and it works on both sides. So definitely fall in line with those guidelines to make sure you have an understanding of what is to occur at the closing, and make sure that you have an understanding of the documents that you are signing, and ask questions. This is a point where you can ask questions so that you have a clear understanding of what your responsibility is. But ultimately, you're making a monthly payment and you need to make that during the life of your loan. So as long as you make those payments on time, a lot of times you won't have any issues coming back to you, but you want to understand what's all included: taxes, insurance, all that good stuff. Your rate, understand what your rate is and what your monthly obligation is. Make sure you do that at the closing, but it's a good step when you're at the closing. So the feelings and emotions have been in the whirlwind, but now it's starting to straighten out and you're feeling great because you're at the closing table and you can taste your new home. So, but definitely so. But you're at the closing table. Make sure you take care of those items. It's Chris Brown, your real estate professional and marketing entrepreneur.